everyone. This is 1 Million Cups, and we are here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. We are one of several cities, I believe, something around 60 or 70 cities that every week on a Wednesday morning we all meet and we talk about the entrepreneurial environment of our cities. We get to hear stories. We get to kind of do like a mini Shark Tank, but more like a trout or minnow tank of challenging our local businesses with questions and with ideas and support. But ultimately, the whole goal of the 1 Million Cups is that 1 million cups of coffee is drank every Wednesday morning over the U.S. as we talk about the entrepreneurial efforts that are happening around the globe. And so we are very happy to have 1 Million Cups here for almost 3 years. Actually, it must be 3 years now that we've had in Colorado Springs. And we, every week we have 2 different presenters, and they basically, the format is 6 minutes of presentation followed by 20 minutes of Q&A. So I encourage you guys to get your thinking caps on, get your ideas coming, so that when people are presenting, that you can ask them great questions during the Q&A. Today we have 2 fantastic presenters. Actually, that both of them have presented already in Denver. So we have some very unique presentations today. So very excited about that. My name is Dustin. I didn't mention that before. I'm one of the organizers. If you're an organizer with 1 Million Cups, can you raise your hand? Cool. So thank you to these guys that volunteer their time every week to put this together. And I also want to give a shout out to Chris from Liberty Franchise Solutions, who's our coffee sponsor for this week.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chris, do you want to say a quick word?
Sure. My last week.
Oh no! No, it's
31st.
31st, yeah.
I can't do math. Anyway, yeah. Liberty Franchise Solutions, we're very happy to sponsor 1 Million Cups, try to make it out whenever we can. We're a full-service franchise brokerage, helping people grow their business through franchising or get into business through buying a franchise if you're not quite sure what you want to do, but you know you want to get into the entrepreneurial small business game. So if that's something that interests you, let me know. I'll be here the whole time. Looking forward to these great presentations.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. Alright, I also want to give a quick shout out to Dreamscape Productions that actually produces a video for us and puts it on YouTube for every single week. You guys can view this on YouTube afterwards. So, and also live stream sometimes. I'm not sure.
Live streaming today on Facebook, yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Alright, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Nick Clement with Seeker Local. Please give him a warm welcome.
So much. Appreciate it. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Good. So like Dustin said, my name is Nick Clement. I'm the CXO of Seeker Local. Seeker Local is your personal guide to exploring the outdoors in Colorado. So I worked for Colorado Parks and Wildlife for about 10 years as their in-house filmmaker. And what I realized is that the outdoor industry is extremely fragmented. And on top of this, our society in general is pretty disconnected with nature, and there's a pretty big misconception on who manages our public land. I worked for Parks and Wildlife, like I said, and I would always have people come to me and say, "Oh, how's your job at the Park Service?" or "How's your job at the national parks?" Or there's just a big disconnection. Everyone thinks every different land management agency is the same. So it's not the Forest Service, it's Parks and Wildlife I worked for. So you have all these different sets of data, right? You've got national level data, county level data, state level, and even city level. All this data that represents those outdoor opportunities on public land. What Seeker Local is doing is bringing all this data into one place so you can get a feel for what is out there throughout the state. You have so many different entities managing different properties, state wildlife areas, trails, we have creeks and rivers, we have lakes, this is a Denver City Park. All of these locations we have curated manually and imported into our mobile app. State parks, reservoirs, mountain passes, trails, even 14ers, which I just found out earlier thanks to James that apparently there's more 14ers now with the new way they're measuring. So the 52 that we have on our app might have to change to 100. Backcountry huts. We have backcountry huts, 10th Mountain Division huts on our app. And as well as, yeah, campgrounds, like I said. So let's take a look.
And you, I'm talking to you. Check this out. See those mountains over there? They are calling you. They're saying, hey, Danny, come hike with your friends on me. Quit messing around and pull out your phone. Now pull up the Seeker Local app. Here you can browse through local outdoor adventures and, you know, get out there instead of being stuck in here. Download the Seeker Local app and get out there.
So let's say you're looking to find an outdoor adventure in Colorado. Pull up the Seeker Local app, choose an activity. Let's say you're like me and you love fly fishing. Choose a destination. Let's check out Eagle River. It's pretty good. Seeker Local provides the top activities to be had at this destination. So we have fishing, paddle sports, wildlife watching. Let's check out fishing. This looks like a good place. So let's actually commit to going. Right here, driving directions, one click and you're there. And if you want to invite your friends, we give you that option as well. So let's say you go out there, you have a great trip, all these awesome photos you took, tag them with hashtag SeekerLocal and the geolocation on Instagram, and that automatically is ingested into our platform. So you can keep track of your past trips and then save destinations you are looking to go to under your upcoming trips. And then that content can act as inspiration for others to get out. And we want to incentivize the best Seeker Locals. So the more you hashtag, the better chance you have to be a top Seeker Local. We want to give people that are really inspiring others that credit. So top Seeker Locals is that incentive. This is what the competitive landscape looks like right now. And Seeker Local is providing a new kind of social proof that validates destinations by outdoor activity. Our goal right now is 50,000 users this summer. We want to leverage this user base to pursue and test new product features like the sponsorship, interaction. We're looking at providing an actual unique marketing opportunity for people like the Broadmoor tour operators who have these amazing, outdoor adventures opportunities. We want to give them a captive audience to market to. And then the other actual feature we're looking at providing is access to private land. So there's a massive amount of private land opportunities in Colorado. We're looking at actually testing out almost like an Uber for private land adventures. So private land camping, hiking, fishing, things like that. So, like I said, our society is over-consumed by technology and disconnected from nature. We want to leverage that over-consumption of technology, and by focusing on human-powered, nature-driven activities, we can create a greater awareness for natural resource conservation so the next generation can have that instilled in them. So, right now our ask is to go to seekerlocal.com. Sign up for our beta. We're tying up some loose ends now, but it should be launched here in the next couple weeks. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nick. Who would like to ask the first question? Chuck.
Once you find a place, you provide all the information, not just where it is, but what type of vehicle you need to get there. Is it off-road or not off-road? Is there camping? What type of camping? Can you do RV?
So right now it's super simple. All we provide is the driving directions, on our app. We provide the Wikipedia or National Forest or whatever entity provides a description. We curate that. So a lot of that information is within that description, but the really big thing, time saver, is going to be the phone number for that location. So actually phone number for that entity. So if you have specific questions, you can call the local ranger district. We've manually curated each one of those phone numbers and websites. So if there's a conditions page available by that entity, it's on Secret Local. Otherwise, there's a general, like for example, White River National Forest has a general recreational page for all the outdoor recreation. Maybe the specific place that you want to go to isn't on there, but at least that will give you some general information. James?
Do you have an offline feature so that like I can download the information to my phone? Because once I get out there, 9 times out of 10, I don't have coverage.
Yeah, great question. Not right now. This is a minimum viable product. We are, bootstrap startup, so that's a pretty hefty piece of technology to build. So right now we just link to Google Maps and rely. Through Google Maps you can download offline maps, but we don't provide that experience yet.
Okay. 2 related questions. You provide trip options, but not actual trips with outfitters. You'll link to outfitters in the area like whitewater rafting. So if I want to go to Browns Canyon, you'll load up whitewater rafting, Browns Canyon, and then we'll defer to.
Eventually we want to bring those tour operators in, yes, that's the strategy. But right now we're just concentrating on building that user base so we can really validate that approach.
So those government entities that you mentioned, do you actually partner with them, or do you pull open source and FOIA data and get that?
I'm trying to if they'll call me back. It's interesting because, working at Parks and Wildlife, I was a filmmaker, so I was in charge of the massive database of the film archives. And we would get requests all the time. And my supervisor was really good about, making sure those requests were only going to the actual, nonprofits or news stations or people that were gonna, use them purposefully and not for commercial use. But it's interesting because now that I'm on the outside and I try to call up, like I'm trying to get a hold of the trail database. There's a new trail system database that you may have heard of. Parks and Wildlife is heading it, and they're doing kind of what we're doing, but just for trails. And it's through ArcGIS, and it's a massive database, but I can't get them to call back, even though I know those guys, and I say, hey, leave them messages every week. So yes, we want to partner with them. I think we'll have a better opportunity to do that when we have that user base, and we can say, hey, there's an incentive for you to partner with us too.
So what are the different revenue streams that will come into play as this grows?
So the first and foremost is the sponsorship. Display advertising, like I showed you, we're in talks with Broadmoor right now. And then it's the private land, providing that trespass fee, easy click, I want to go to this private land, pay the trespass fee. Don't have to talk to the private landowner, all that interaction happens, through the app. And then it's also gear recommendations. So validating gear bundles by the actual destinations and activities. So we got a kind of wide scope that we're trying to use that user base, like I said, to validate the different specific approaches.
So why do you decide to go with the native app versus why not like a TripAdvisor or a
Great question. A big thing is the attractiveness for an investor. The native app is more robust. We get to those locations after they're loaded. We have right now about 650 locations on our app. Those will load right away. You can search through them, so you don't have to, worry about it. So that's the biggest. The other is, I'm not the tech guy, but my co-founder and the contracting dev shop we have, that's what they recommended as well. So are you a developer? Or? Yeah. Okay. So you agree with that decision?
I think it can go both ways because, on the one hand, you have drop-offs in terms of people downloading. So in terms of getting sponsorships, at least, if you're you're going to do an app, I would at least say you should have a complimentary web experience.
Yes.
Because that way you get more traffic and just have casual see responses.
You are one step ahead of us. We are right now talking the next iteration is a web. Not necessarily, the mobile app is a native app, but the web experience, the web app is what we're building next, so we can try to own that search. Here in a month, camping in Colorado, Google search goes through the roof. So we want to try to leverage that.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks.
What's your marketing strategy?
Marketing strategy, that's a great question. I'm a filmmaker, so right now we have a bunch of different films we're producing. We are trying to get, I play football at CU, and so my old coach is Vance Joseph, who's the coach of the Broncos. So I'm trying to get him, Coach Bieniemy, and Coach Hagan out on the river. So try to get that, unaware side of the spectrum. People that don't realize, like for example, 70% of the kids in Denver have not been west of Wheat Ridge. It's really, really sad. So we want to try to, have an impact on that. And so I think someone like the Broncos coach going fishing would help promote that. We're also working on a film promoting Colorado Springs, outdoor recreational opportunities. I grew up here, and my family, my dad's business is here, Remax Properties, Joe Clement, he's co-sponsoring it with me, and we're working with Colorado Springs Parks and Rec, and we're gonna just try to really tell that Colorado Springs outdoor rec story, which we have got a lot of insights that says that story is not being told whatsoever right now. So.
It's a great idea. We do Airbnb, and I have a long-term person here from Boston, and she's like, where's some good hikes? So I'm going to have her download your app.
Great.
Does it go by region number one, Nick?
So right now, like I was saying, it's super simple, minimal viable product, trying to be as simple as possible.
Yep.
But in those descriptions, we have closest cities, whichever county it resides in. And so what you can do is use the search function to just type in Colorado Springs, El Paso County, whatever, and that will get you to, so it doesn't know your location. It's not that smart of an app yet, right? There's no geolocation built into the app, but that's coming. But for now, just search the location you plan to go to, and you'll find all those destinations.
And then follow them. Just what was your driving force to leave, Colorado Parks and go and do this? What
You really want to know?
What's your why? Yeah, because it's going to draw your business, right?
Okay, yes. So I got my degree at Boulder Digital Works, a graduate degree in user experience design and creative technologies. And I did that while I was still at Parks and Wildlife. And what I realized is that the government is so far behind when it comes to technology, user experience. I mean, imagine getting onto the DMV website or things like that. You go to Parks and Wildlife's website, and we actually merged the Division of Wildlife with state parks a while back, and there wasn't one UX person, user experience person, in that process. So they were taking these huge databases, all the state parks, all the state wildlife areas, just crap load of data and bringing it together, but no UX. If I get on the website and I want to find a place to hunting, it's overload, information overload. So I was pitching to them for years, hey, we need to hire a UX person. We need some technology that we own and we can leverage to meet. We have all these problems. There's all these issues. People bring up new issues every day. Those issues can be solved with technology, giving people the right information, targeted information at the right people. That's about serving customers, and honestly, the government's just so far behind on serving customers. They don't treat their, the public as customers. It's kind of just almost like an issue. They're like, the public's in the way. We're not serving them. And I don't want to talk bad about Parks and Wildlife. They're an awesome entity. I loved working for them. There's a lot of great people that work there. It's more of the wide spectrum, bureaucratic kind of messiness that brings it down. So.
I'd just like to say that the land use idea of Lincoln, because there's a lot of private landowners that want to give access or limited access, and the land is underutilized.
Yes.
I think that's a brilliant idea that
Thank you.
has been needed to come for a long time. Living in Colorado my whole life, I've seen it time and time again where there's private land that's just going unused, that there's no way to link those in the user community.
I appreciate that. I've experienced the same thing. If you know some landowners, I would love to get connected with them, because that's what we're doing now, is testing that idea.
You said you were bootstrapping, and how did you organize yourself psychologically and financially so you don't die?
I ask my same question every day. I think my wife asked me that question.
How did you get answer?
It's tough, I run a freelance business, so I am able to, pay the bills and provide needs to my family while I'm bootstrapping this, but it's just something you have to kind of commit to every day. My co-founder and I meet in my garage for 2 or 3 hours. He's got a full-time job. I got a 2-year-old and another one on the way. So it's just a matter of being committed. We started with this 5-person team at the CU grad program, and it's just my co-founder and I now, because I knew he was committed, he knew I was committed, and it's just a matter of supporting each other. I think that's a big thing. But as far as psychologically, I played football at CU. I was a walk-on for 5 years, so I busted my butt. I earned a scholarship, and I think that experience had a big impact on how, because getting up at 4 a.m. and running wind sprints for an hour till you almost puke is, doing a startup is nothing compared to that, right? So, mental toughness, I guess.
You have a lot of beautiful video.
Thank you.
Videographer. With that sort of being the future of promotional and social media, how do you recommend people get to a point where they can produce a nice video?
So, as far as just you're learning yourself,
Yeah.
how, just practice makes perfect. It's tough because I went through film school and kind of came out of film school with this really fresh view of what good film looks like, and that's why it was so easy to get the job at Parks and Wildlife, because they didn't really have any of that. But as far as staying cutting edge for a decade, I didn't get up to speed until I bought my drone last year and bought the 4K GoPro and bought the Sony A7S II. So now everything I shoot, this is all 4K footage. It's just a matter of trial and error. You get some of these shots. It takes days to get some of these shots. The fish to swim up to the, to the camera. You have to, put the GoPro in the right spot and sit there and wait, and then go and review the footage. So really just trial and error, but if you're really looking to ramp that up, I would just recommend Skillshare to learn, or just really one of the best ways I learned was working with people who were better than me.
It's a great idea, Nick. I appreciate you forwarding on this.
Thanks a lot.
My question is to follow up on the 650 locations that you currently have. So I know you guys have, time is always a limited resource for entrepreneurs. Can you speak to how long it took to develop those 650 and how long it will take to develop each one? Because I do like that land share idea. But if I'm a person who has, let's say, some private property and I want to partner with you on this, I want to know how long it's going to take for me to get this on and going. Again, once you get to that point.
Yeah.
Sort of 2 questions in one.
Up to now, the 650 had my actual co-founder and I, we did that last night. We factored it out because we figured it was about 10 minutes for each destination, because you have to Google and Instagram and bring all that together manually. We're working on automating some of it. We have done some of that, but still, no matter what, someone has to look at that destination, because you can't trust automation. So $600 is what took us to get to, it was a rough estimate, to the 650. But as far as the private land, that's a really interesting point, because that's the biggest piece of feedback we've got from private landowners. Hey, how much time is this gonna cost me? I'm ranching, I'm farming, I'm doing all these other things, it's a full-time job. I don't wanna have to have this whole other thing to manage. So that's what we're working on, is, using people like Airbnb as a model. How can we copy what they're doing and make it better, for this particular interaction. So ideally, you sign up and it's, it's all there. I can put in, this is a spot for wildlife watching. This is, they can spend 20, 30 minutes curating it. If they want, they can pay us to come out and do professional video and photos. So hopefully we get there to where it's just hands off for the landowner.
How many users do you have right now?
Under 1,000.
Okay, and as a follow-up, as the user base expands, how do you maintain the integrity of your data sets? You know, you get
Great
these
question.
college kids who want to go floating down the river with beers and they leave their empties all over and posting that on your app.
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, all we have is flagged, this content. So it's, a user-driven interaction that we rely on the users to, help us report those things. But it's a great question. We want to promote that conservation piece. So hopefully, that branding and that kind of promotion of the natural resource will help alleviate that. I guess only time to tell.
I think it's a great program. How do you control the visionary in you? Because while you're working on Colorado, the visionary says, let's start queuing up other states. How do you do that without getting so sidetracked that you're losing the essential focus on Colorado?
Great question. We are using the Colorado as that test, right? That validation and the system validation. So right now our system is pretty slow of, like I said, the 600 hours it took. We want to cut that in half, right? So once we get to that point where we have this efficient process that's validated and proven, then we can say, hey, Mr. Investor, this is what we've done in Colorado. We need to take it to 50 states. Here's how much capital we need. So that's our goal, is in the next couple of months get to that point.
The data you're trying to get from parks and recreation, is that public data?
It is public data, yes.
So is there another way of getting it?
There is. The problem is the way it's formatted. It's all different. So Parks and Wildlife's data, massive spreadsheets are completely different than national forests or counties or things like that. So what we do is we have a system that parses it down for each entity. So we have a national forest script that we've written that takes all this data and parses it down to, like the one spreadsheet we worked with had 57,000 locations, and we parsed it to just Colorado, removed the duplicates, removed all the extra stuff we didn't need, kept some of the stuff for maybe future use, we'll need it, and now we have it down to like 1,000. We're taking 100 at a time, importing it into our database, populating it. So it is public, but it is still a bear to work with. So I have,
One more thing.
oh yeah, go ahead.
So, have you had any involvement with GoCode? And
Oh yeah, GoCo, of course.
Yeah, that have given you, or does that give you any sort of access that, or possibilities that?
I pursued it. I have a friend from Parks and Wildlife who now works there. He's a GIS guy, and I asked him that same question. And they're interested in, what we're doing. But like I said before, I don't think it will really be a easy sell unless we have that final product in the hand with the user base. We can say, hey, here's what we have. Partner with us, kind of thing.
Do you think some of the visitor bureaus in the different counties would be more motivated to work with you and give you data?
You took the words out of my mouth. That was the next thing I was going to say. Is there's a big push for rural entities, visitor centers, the smaller Meekers and Cortezes, and these rural. Royce and I were just talking about Pueblo has a big push for getting their outdoor rec story out there. And so our strategy right now is to get in touch with them, tell them what we're doing. We've contacted a few just to test the waters, and we found that they love it. They're like, how can we compete with the national parks and these places that everyone want to go to? We want to promote those rural places because really they're just as sweet as the national parks, if not better, depending on how you look at it. So
we have time for the final question.
Okay.
And whatever.
And I have a question too for you guys. You get a Seeker Local shirt. This is going to be if you know the answer, you tell me right away and you get the shirt. What is Colorado's state bird?
Bark hunting.
Sorry.
misled with the thought. Who wants to ask the final question here?
What can we as a community do to support you, Nick?
Get on the app. Let us know what you think. Like I said, the final version of our app, we're just trying to get loose ends tied up. But if you go to secretlocal.com and sign up and be engaged, use Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, get on there. It's awesome. It's a great platform. And start tagging those outdoor adventures with Secret Local. And then if you see anything on there that's whatever you don't like, or the experience isn't how you think it should be, we want to know. So there's a feedback tab on there. Let us know. And then I guess the biggest thing is just, if you have, like you already said, if you have a friend that you know is looking for something to do, recommend it. That's really, that can help us out most, is that actual user validation. That's what we're looking for. So.
All right. Oh, you have a Kia. That's like the same. Okay.
Give it to your co-founder.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, Nick. That was awesome. Okay, so we have a few minutes now for announcements, and we are gonna, basically what we do in the announcements part is we ask for anything that benefits the entrepreneur community. If you want to let us know about any event or anything upcoming, please keep it under 30 seconds. And we have a few minutes to do this before we move on to the next presentation. Anyone have any community announcements? Or anything they want to let us know about? All right, Mark.
Well, as always, it's actually been a couple weeks since I've said anything, so I'm going to silence. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Springs Tech Slack channel, come talk to me afterwards. Basically, it's kind of this in a virtual environment. Slack, for those of you who don't know, is basically like a chat service for business purposes. So basically, try to create this kind of a community where we can share ideas, community announcements, events, needs with each other, and be able to help each other out.
Thanks. Anyone else? Announcements. Wow. Okay. All right. I'll do one quick one. The State of Small Business is almost 2 weeks away. It's on June 6th. That's Tuesday morning. We have a breakfast, and we have a number of different facilitators and speakers that will be talking about some stats for the state of small business locally and in Colorado. So you can grab one of the flyers over there if you're interested. It's being put on by the UCCS Economic Forum and Pikes Peak Small Business Development Center. All right. Any newcomers this week? Anyone? This is their first time here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. All right. Well, can we get a big hand for you guys? So much for joining. We're here every week, every Wednesday at 9 a.m., so hope to see you next week as well. I have one quick question that would really help us as organizers, and that is, I want to know where you guys are actually finding out about the weekly meetings. Are you actually finding out who the presenters are before you come? And so let's just do a quick show of hands. How many of you guys get the email and read the email every Monday morning that comes? Okay, so
that's 2 questions.
Let's. What? Oh, yeah, we can get the email and read it. Okay, how many actually read it? Okay, cool. All right, so roughly a third of the room. How many of you guys go to Facebook to find out? Okay, so a few less. All right. And how many of you don't really know who's going to be presenting when you come? All right. Those of you that raised your hand, that looks like the majority, don't actually know who's presenting. Do you guys want to know who's presenting? Because you can get on the email newsletter list. If you drop me a business card or one of the organizers, please give us your business card, and we'd love to put you on the email list. It comes out every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Lets you know who the 2 presenters are for that week. I also forgot to ask, who goes straight to the website to find out who? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. All right, well that gives us a good idea. All right, so thank you so much. Moving on, we have our second presenter, who is Yulong Yang, and he is with Carbon Entertainment. Is that correct? Carbon. Okay, cool. Please give Yulong a warm applause.
Hey
Thank you guys. Good morning. I find it pretty funny that I get to co-present with Secret Local here because we are promoting the exact opposite. We're telling you to sit at home and watch TV all day. Anyways, so good morning. My name is Yuan Yang. I am the CEO and co-founder of Kauffman Entertainment. And we are here to bring people together through the power of esports. If you haven't heard of it yet, esports is undoubtedly the next big thing in the entertainment industry. Rather than me try to explain this phenomenon with words, let me just show you a clip of one of our productions just last month.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Carbon Studio. I'm Gil Frost, and I'm here with ZP and Hex, and we're ready for more Overwatch action.
They're getting a graviton in the hotel, and it's working! Train leaving right through! How many happy little stuff will we get? It's gonna be 3! Look at those hammers. Highly aggressive shape. Picks up 4!
So, pretty crazy, right? If we take a look at the history of sports, 2 generations ago, baseball was America's favorite pastime. Last generation, it was football. And for us millennials, esports is the biggest pastime here. And esports is our sport. As an industry, we brought in $890 million of revenue in 2016, on top of 35% year-on-year growth. And experts estimate $5 billion by 2020. And that's sitting on top of over 200 million people participating as viewers worldwide. In fact, that is already more viewership reach than all of these traditional sports leagues. And we're filling stadiums. That is a picture of a sold-out Madison Square Garden. But this introduces what we define as a mega event problem. Mega events are just like what you saw on that previous slide. They're fantastic, fun weekend events to go to, but they only appear once every few months. This creates a lot of gaps in content, and it makes it really difficult to be an esports fan. So this is where we come in. We bring you seasons of content. We bring you seasons of content, couple that together with professional broadcasting, and all that creates a landscape for rich stories to develop. We build in an example of our consistent content is our flagship event, the Overwatch Carbon Series. We brought Overwatch action to you every single Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for over a month, so you knew exactly when to find the content. We couple that together with leading class production quality from our studio's endeavor, and bring it all straight to the viewers through the internet on Twitch, the world's largest game streaming platform. And again, all of this creates a story that fans can get behind. Fans want to be able to follow their favorite teams and players through both highs and their lows. They want to be able to see the stories of rivalries and underdogs, which they can develop in platforms that we create. This is why we're the esports network, making it easy to be a fan. And I think our traction speaks for itself. For that event that I should showcase, over 1 month we were able to hit 1 million viewership, and that was grown at about 200,000 unique viewers per week. When we're live, we're frequently one of the most watched channels on Twitch, the world's largest game streaming platform. And through that, we've been able to build really strong partnerships and relationships. One of the closest being Blizzard Entertainment, one of the world's largest video game publishers. In fact, we're currently working with them to be the provider behind their official professional Overwatch League. And we built close relationships with other companies, industries, especially with professional esports teams. They absolutely love us because we provide them with a level of attention and detail that no other organizer in the space does. So how do we make money from this? Well, really similar to traditional sports. Mostly advertisement and sponsorships. In fact, we're projecting over $15 million of revenue in 5 years from that, and we break even starting the very next event. And we're profitable within 1 year. And advertisers want to reach our audience because we hold the key to a golden demographic. Over 50% of our audience are millennials, the notorious cord cutter generation that traditional media has a harder time reaching with every given day. On top of that, we're providing that consistent exposure on a day-to-day basis. But we're not the only ones trying to get into space. ESL, they run some of the world's largest mega events, and frankly, they do a fantastic job. But we're here to fill screens of every esports fan, not stadiums. E-League is Turner Broadcasting's latest venture in the space, and they're throwing lots of money in production value, but they're falling under the same trap. They're going for the sexy Super Bowls rather than consistent content day after day. As a company, we're looking at an exit strategy for an acquisition, and we're looking straight at media and broadcasting corporations. Turner obviously is getting in the space. ESPN has been trying for over a year with no success. And a recent comp of note is ESL. Our competitor just got acquired by a Swedish media firm for 87 mil, about 5 times revenue. Currently the team is me, the executive team is me and my 2 colleagues. Together we not only have some business experience, but some of the best esports talent and insider knowledge there is. We're currently in the middle of our seed round, which is designed to take us through multiple milestones to eventually hit a 3 million monthly viewership on our network. That's designed to bring on new expertise onto our team, bring on the current team we have to be full-time, cover a lot of that upfront cost for that consistent production I talked about, and to find us a new studio space here in Colorado. So thank you for your time. I hope I was able to open your eyes to the magical world of esports. I'm glad to take any questions.
If I'm watching this, why am I watching this? Am I watching to see the video of the game being played, or am I watching to see the emotion that the player, or both?
Yeah, great question. So the players and teams are kind of the front line of attraction. So fans, it's very similar to traditional sports, right? If you think of an analogy, nobody's really a fan of the NFL. Everyone is a fan of a team in the NFL, and that's the same way. So people are fans of these teams that we partner with and bring into our events. Cloud9 is an example, one of the largest gaming teams in the country, and they have millions and millions of fans that come in to watch their team play, see when watch their team, beat other teams, watch their team, do poorly against other better teams, and it's all part of the story that people get behind.
So they're watching both the video, the game they're actually playing, and the reaction of the player.
Oh, I see. It depends on the type of event. So for the consistent seasons of content that we're trying to produce, we don't fly the players in to play physically, so we're unable to get that personal footage. But we couple that together with analysis, commentary, play-by-play casting, which really tell the story, even if they don't see those players. However, for larger kind of playoff style events that we would do at the end of these seasons, we absolutely plan to be able to fly some of the best teams in and be able to have footage that actually shows players' faces and them playing in person.
So I have a couple questions. One is real quick. So you guys are just one of the channels on Twitch. You just one of the streams. You use the platform.
Yes.
Okay, and then my second question is, how do you overcome my understanding, and I have a very good friend who just started streaming on Twitch about a month ago. It seems to me a big part of the appeal is the intimacy of watching someone play the game extremely well, hearing them talk about what they're doing, why they did it. Well, that didn't work, let me try again. And if you're up in the hundreds of thousands, millions of viewers, you're necessarily going to lose that sort of tribal connection.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's actually a really good question. So we see 2 different types of video game content viewers, we'll call that. One is the streamer type, which you just explained, where they're there to see an individual play a game and experience that game with that individual, through how that individual plays it. The other side is that they're here to see the competition and here to see teams do good and do poor, just like sports, just like the reason people would watch a basketball game or a football game. There's a massive overlap between those two, but they're kind of 2 completely different, let's say completely, but fairly different focuses and reasons why people go watch a stream. And Twitch happens to be the platform right now for both of those types.
So this is a fantastic thing. My kids stream, and so millennials, right? But I figure if they're going to watch my teenage kid do this in pretty large numbers, this is kind of that next generation, how do we monetize that, right?
Yeah.
My questions are a couple things. Do you, first of all, I see Overwatch. Is there another game that you guys are thinking about branching out to? I guess first of all, since you're sponsored partner with Blizzard, I can see the obvious tie-in. And second of all, to his point, there's obviously a competitive portion, right? People want to see teams fighting, and you want to create a narrative. And what we've seen, again, very small sample size, is that folks really like that story. So when you talk about folks coming in and maybe just meeting, for the playoffs and that kind of thing, my thought is that people love that let's play, I'm kind of sitting in the living room with you doing that. How do you merge that in your platform, or do you want to, considering the thrust seems to be a competitive platform where you have a playoff, you're kind of building consistent content, but also building to like a Super Bowl type event.
Right. The great question. So the first one with different game titles. So Overwatch is obviously the one we had the most success in, enough for Blizzard to effectively trust their multi-billion-dollar brand with us in this private label deal. We are already actively working to expand into another title called Dota 2. That is working with, we're building partnerships around that, and especially also with Valve Software, Valve Corporation, they're the publishers of Dota 2. So our strategy to expand into multiple games is to take it one step at a time. Right? We want to master each title that we go into, be a prominent competitor in that title before moving on to the next one. And part of this, the funds we're trying to raise right now is the ability to be able to kind of expand more horizontally and capture more and more titles that we can go into. At the same time, right, there's so many titles in esports because that's what makes it really unique. There's new titles popping up left and right. You don't see new basketballs, right, popping up left and right. And they also go away left and right. So there's a sense of always keeping up with the recent game titles. That's a huge focus of us, as well as it's not super realistic for us to capture every single game title at the same time. So we need to prioritize ones and also work and partner with our competitors actually to make sure the entire esports ecosystem gets covered. And it's not a game of beating our competitors in that sense, in some ways. The second part of the question with the story. So esports is not at a position where we can do every single game live in person. It's just not at that level yet. And so the way we accommodate for the storytelling and the narrative in the online events where these players are still playing in their team houses or at their homes is through that commentary. So we bring in for that event that I showcased, we brought in two of the most well-known Overwatch experts, I guess you could say, and they would work with our production director to create these storylines, to analyze how these teams are doing. If this player is doing incredibly well this day, highlight that story. If this team is doing really poorly, explain why. And that basically allows us to spoon feed that story to the viewers. They don't need to go and infer different things based on the action, whereas we do all that work for them and just tell them what the story is and do it in an exciting way that they can really stand behind it.
So are you building the narrative around the game, the players, or the commentators? Like where is the fan power pointed at?
So 100% players and teams. So both those entities, right? The commentators do have a bit of fame in there with them, but at the end of the day, when you swap out commentators, people are still going to watch. They might enjoy it a little bit more with the proper commentators. You might get a little boost in viewership, but that's not the core of it, right? Or they're also not really, they can also be fans of us because we will be known to produce that really quality, consistent content, so they know, oh, this is a Carbon created event. I know it's going to be great. I'm going to spend my time watching that. But at the end of the day, they're there because they want to watch their favorite team or their favorite player.
So just in follow-up to that, if you're building it based on the players, how do you protect yourself from your players going to a competitor then?
So we don't need to really in a sense because when you're operating at the level where you're playing with these pro teams, most of these are invitational style events. So you work with the team to make sure that that team is in your event and you kind of have that team locked down for however long your event is. As far as beating out competitors to get those teams, a lot of it is a little bit of a race right now. The ability to get your event out the fastest, get your event out the first, work with the teams the most. The huge advantage we do have there is the way we work with them. We've already been told by almost every team we've worked with that they would rather pick when the next event comes out, they would rather pick our company to participate in because of the way that we build schedules for them. We treat them very personally and tell them exactly when they need to be, and work with them from such a low level, and it makes it really easy for them to participate in our events. And that is actually a huge factor in getting the teams. Thank you.
So I see Colorado logo, so a couple of questions. What does that partnership look like? And
Sure.
does that extend to Cronky Sports as well?
So we partnered with the Mammoth a few months ago to bring a few community esports events to the Pepsi Center and together with their game days and try to merge. The idea behind it was that lacrosse fans have a huge parallel with the same type of competition that esports fans like, and try to see what we can do there. So that's what that partnership was. We were able to get a few hundred players involved in those community events with that. It does not directly relate to Cronky KSE, but it is obviously a major. We built that relationship with KSE, with the Mammoth director, as well as a lot of the other guys operating KSE to put that together. So it opens a really big door, although we haven't figured out exactly how to use that yet, mainly because Cronky's general kind of business attitude is not to really put a whole lot of investment in anything that's not 100% proven yet. So yeah. I think you're first.
So I'm not really familiar with Twitch, but I can assume it's like an online media format.
Yeah, so it's similar to YouTube, but just purely for live content.
So are you planning on sticking with that platform, or maybe branching out and creating your own, almost like a Netflix kind of thing, and tied into like VR and user-based experiences on that?
Absolutely. I think that's something we explored very heavily early on, and really talked around in the industry to test how that would go. And we decided at the current time that it's not, the community and the viewer base is not ready for that yet. And the reason for that is very recently, YouTube kind of, a few of our competitors, they paid them out to have exclusive rights for them to broadcast on YouTube Live. And believe it or not, that the average viewership tanked by about 5x. So for me, that's enough proof at the moment that we can't go away from Twitch. Frankly, Twitch is a huge partner with us in helping us get that content out, promote that content, and we love working with them, but we definitely do see a future, hopefully very soon, where we can take a lot more control of the distribution as well. But for now, we're on Twitch.
How much money are you trying to raise right now? And then the second question would be, have you looked at getting exposure to outside the U.S.? I know it's a larger presence in Asian countries. It might be, I don't know, it's easier to get into or harder. But
Absolutely. So the first time we are looking for $250,000. And the second part of the question is, we already are working with partners in many other countries to localize our content. So for that event that you showcased there, that was actually localized in French, Spanish, German, Korean, Chinese twice, and then Portuguese. So we're working with partners to get that content around the world. As far as creating content from the talent in that specific country, that is in our kind of long-term roadmap. But as of right now, because we are in North America, we're going to focus on North American competition and get that down.
Viewership implies in eyeball experience. But when you're talking digital and computers, you start to get into a place where it can be very interactive.
Absolutely.
So what happens in that world? Do people start becoming part of the game? Do they cheer? Do they bet? Do they emote somehow?
Yeah, so for Twitch specifically, Twitch, on the side of your video player, you have a global chat. So you can chat with everyone else that's currently watching the stream. Obviously, because our streams are in the many thousands of viewers concurrently, it gets a little crowded, and it's also very entertaining if you have the time to check one out. That is one way for the community to engage. But we do also offer, we moderate and work with lots of other communities, for example, Reddit. Discord is another one that's really huge with esports. These are all different outlets people can go to, have discussion, have communication, and talk about things, and make it a lot more interactive. The next step we would really like to see and find a way to push in esports, though, is actually the interactivity of the content itself rather than around it. And unfortunately, that's a huge limiting factor because of Twitch. Twitch does not have anything like that in their roadmap because at the end of the day, they're out of 1 million streams, you have, at any given time, you maybe have 3 or 4 large major esports events that have a ton of viewers. Then you have, thousands and thousands and thousands of other little streamers that actually make Twitch a lot more money at the moment. So their focus is creating more tools for those individual streamers and a little less focus on esports, which is why we would really love to be able to find an opportunity to own that distribution a lot more, but it's just not possible right now. Oh, actually.
Sure, yeah. Well, no, I was just going to say, so I was playing Overwatch last night and I had no idea I'd be up to 1 million constant watching footage. So I would be considered a player that is, a weekend warrior, or AKA a filthy casual, right? So I'm wondering, how do you reach us and how do you get us engaged with esports?
So in terms of marketing efforts,
right.
We work very close with Blizzard, obviously. Just on Monday, we announced the Overwatch contenders. I don't know if you heard the news or not. They were put in their launcher. They announced on Twitter. It's only been 2 days, but we've already been received over 5 million unique visits on the website for that.
Wow.
So basically, we are able to piggyback, because of those type of relationships, we're able to piggyback off an incredible marketing engine of someone like Blizzard. That's how we reach those audience. Unfortunately, I don't like the term, but I'll use it because it's filthy casuals. They don't. Most of them. A lot of them are. If you're not inherently interested in the competition piece of all this, you just may not really be attracted to that type of content in the first place. So it's like trying to get someone who just doesn't like sports to watch sports. It's just not going to work, right? You got to get people who actually care about competition.
We have time for the final question, sorry.
Okay.
Hopefully we can ask this question.
What can we as a community do to support you?
So, I think for one, obviously, spread the word. We obviously, get educated in esports. It's going to be huge. There's no doubt about that. It's growing and it's not going to stop. And we'd love to see more innovation, more talent, more everything in the space. We're also one of the only esports focused companies in Colorado. So, any sort of, any way you guys think can make esports better, we would love to talk about that. But also, we're always looking for connection with more partners and more ability to be able to expand our content reach, expand what we can create, and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at.
All right.
How many of you guys learned something today? I love 1 Million Cups because you get like a 5-minute snippet of something that's completely outside your world and you get to be drawn in a little bit for 20 minutes, half hour. So, we'll hope to see you guys next week. Please invite a friend and we'll see you next week. So thank you guys.
I'm not.
No, I'm not. It is getting crazy. You guys now have agents, representation. Oops.